Alright, today we're going to be showing you how to make an 8 GPU mining frame. And the difference between this one and our last video is we're going to also be showing you how to attach your fans, and how we do the fans, how we do all the cable management, how we do everything again. So to start off, we have our motherboard here. We've already attached the CPU, we've already attached the M.2, and we've already attached the RAM. We always recommend 8 gigabytes RAM. If you're only going to be doing small motherboards, you could always do 4. 4 gigabytes will do all 8 GPUs perfectly fine, but we always recommend going with the 8 gigabytes. And then when you're doing your M.2, you want to make sure all your screw holes completely align, and then you want to make sure you do not see any differences here. You do not want to see any differences on your chip. So right here where it attaches, if you don't have this perfectly lined up, you're going to have a bunch of issues when you're trying to get that GPU to work. So we're going to go ahead and go to our motherboard section over here, and you want to use your Q1 screws, and you're going to start setting up your motherboard to be screwed in. So what we always recommend is you take your motherboard and you test fit it on there. So you want to figure out which screws you're exactly going to need to use. So you'll go ahead and test fit your motherboard. And start putting in those screws. So for this one, we're using the Z270-A. So you use this one, the ends, the middles, the fronts, middles, the ends again. So you'll go ahead and lay this onto its side and take your Q1 screws and go ahead and start attaching everything. So for the Q1 screws, you want the long ones. Go through the bottom, then you'll screw the nut right into it. It's alright if you use extra screws. If you're not completely sure where your motherboard is sitting, that's alright. Just go ahead and use a few extra screws. It's not going to damage anything, it's not going to change anything. If you're ever questioning, you can always go ahead and take your motherboard and just put it on the bottom, just so you can line things up again, just making sure you're correct. So this case will fit a full-size ATX, a micro ATX, anything that aligns with the ATX screws. It comes with all the accessories. So there's no worry about missing screws, missing anything. It will also come with a power button. So if you do not have a power button, it does come with a power button, so you don't have to do a little jump. This is the Cella Design 8 GPU mining frame. We'll have a link to it in the description. It's one of the best 8 GPU frames we've found, really. We always use it on every single one of our builds, just because it's very sturdy and always allows for it to attach perfectly fine. So I just set the tiny screws to the side. You poured them all out like I did. Go ahead and take this, put it all the way up. Now take your motherboard and go ahead and line it up on top of all the screws we just put in. Everything should line up perfectly, and you just start screwing everything in. Alright, so now that your motherboard is fully attached, you'll want to go ahead and take your power supplies. If they don't have rubber feet on them already, that's fine, because the Cella Design mining frame, it does come with all the rubber feet. So put the rubber feet on, and then it gives you the screws to attach the next section. So you'll go to your Q4, you got your rubber feet, and you got the screws to plug it into, screw it into the back. Let's go ahead and take all your rubber feet and just peel it off and put it one in each corner. That way it can reduce any shaking, gives the proper ventilation for the fans. So now that you have them screwed in, you just put the screw side back. Now you got your power supplies already wired in. Now you'll go ahead and do your risers. And one of the best parts, if you do have the Cella Design, everything comes in this little case. So now for the risers, you'll go ahead and use your Q9s, and it's the same concept. The big screws on the bottom, small screws on the top. And for your risers, one of the things is if you have the risers with the bottom here, you see how we have one, it has completely foamed back. You'll want to go ahead and take snipping tools. You want to take whatever you want, just a pair of scissors, a pair of dikes, either one, and go ahead and peel back and just snip that little corner off so you have access to the screws. You'll see now we have access to the screw. You'll want to do that on every single one of them. If you wanted to, you could just peel off the entire back if that's what you want to do too. You could peel off. Sometimes they're a little hard to peel off, so we just decided to snip them. It's usually a lot cleaner, a lot easier. So now you'll see you'll have something like that in the end. You'll have it all snipped off, and now when you screw in all the screws, it'll work out perfectly fine. So go ahead and pop open your Q9, and we'll go ahead and start attaching all the screws for it.
This is a Chucky Beat production. This is a Chucky Beat production.
Alright, so now you want to go ahead and attach your solid state drive or your hard drive. Now if you're using a hard drive, you want to use the Q2 screws. If you're using a solid state drive, you want to go ahead and use the Q3 screws. These are going to go right here. So you got three solid state drive spots and a hard drive slot. So you go ahead and use whichever one you're using. So we like to put it in the center slot. Don't matter which slot you do. Center, the top, the first, second, or third. So now we're ready to start hooking everything up. We'll want to hook everything up, and then we'll want to go ahead and take our GPUs and start adding the GPUs. So first we're going to go ahead and start with the solid state drive cable. Go ahead and pop that one right in. So now you got that, we'll go ahead and start doing our power supplies. So since we have two Molex risers. You don't need two Molex risers, just something we always use. We always use two Molex risers per rig, and that's just so we can use the extra perif. But you will want to plug in one perif. If you're not using two Molexes, you'll still need one perif. That one perif cable is going to power your fans. So what you want to go ahead and use for your fans, so you're going to want to use one of these hubs. So what this allows is you to go ahead and power the hub with the Molex, the perf cable. Then you'll want to go ahead and wire this to the CHA1 or the CHA2 or any of the CHA slots. And then the orange one, that's going to be the one that reads at the BIOS, and then all the other ones will match whatever the orange one is reading. So whatever you send for the orange one to run, all the rest will follow it. So this we're later going to attach. We're going to attach this right here. It just has a little glue spot. We don't have a screw down yet. So we'll go ahead and take our motherboard cables, and we'll start with the motherboard. So they have there's a add to PSU chip which you can use. We don't use that. This is a little more complex. You really don't need it. It's just an extra thing that you don't need at all, because you could just get one of these. It's a 2 PSU combined. So you'll go ahead and use that to do your PSU cables. So go ahead and plug in your motherboard. And now that you have your motherboard plugged in, once you have your motherboard plugged in, you'll want to keep, how we do it is we always keep our cables below the bar, because we're going to do cable management to the bottom of the bar, and we'll use cable ties. So we'll use cable ties like this and attach everything to the bottom of the bar. Get a nice clean cable management along this bar so you don't have all your cables everywhere. Then you go ahead and put your fans over and it'll cover all the cable ties. So always send everything underneath the bar. Then so now you want to go ahead and take your 2 PSU connector. You want the one with all the cables going to your main PSU, and then this one going to your secondary PSU. We use the right PSU as our main, so I'm going to go ahead and wire it to the right. You just follow the direction, make sure it clips in, and then do the same on the other side to your secondary. Then you'll go ahead and just plug this right into your motherboard. So go ahead and have that done. And now you want your CPU. We're going to plug our CPU into our main PSU.
So first cables we're going to start with, we're going to go ahead and start off with the SATAs
On our secondary PSU. So you go ahead and take your SATAs.
Start plugging them into your secondary PSU.
Make sure everything is still going here, right underneath. Then now you're going to go ahead and add a peripheral cable. Then now you're going to go ahead and do your 4 VGAs. So our next power supply, we're going to go ahead and start our new SATAs again. Now, if you only have one peripheral, you only want to do one peripheral, and you can put it either on your main or your secondary CPU if you're just doing your fans. Whichever one's fine. So now you'll go ahead and start with your VGAs. So now we have all of those, they're all ready to start powering. Now next step is go ahead and take all your cables for your 6-pin. If you have a 6-pin, some of them have SATAs. If you have your SATA, you can just plug in directly with your SATA, or you take your 6-pin to SATA. So we're going to plug in all our 6-pin to SATAs. We're not going to plug anything into the Molex since it's a direct. So for your secondary PSU will power one SATA with each cable, one riser with each cable. And then with your primary PSU, you're going to want to go ahead and power one riser with one cable, these 2 risers with another cable, and then your solid state drive with another cable. That's how we do it. You could mix it up, but your primary you want to power multiple, you don't want to power all. So go ahead and start lining up your SATAs. Remember, we want everything to not go above this bar, so don't wrap it around. Just put it right here in. Do not let it go above the bar. This is going to really help you when you're done with cable management. And we'll show you how we're going to do cable management too, how we do it, and how we attach everything. So you see we powered the first 3 all with one cable. Now we're going to go ahead and take our primary peripheral, and this is the peripheral that we're going to use to power these 2. So what we do is we just plug it straight in. You can do this if you have your own too. If you have just SATAs, just do the same thing. You don't have to have any adapters, nothing like that. Just plug it right in. Alright. And then now go ahead and take your next SATAs and start doing those. So our first SATA is going to go ahead and power our solid state drive. Go ahead and do your second SATA. Go ahead and power the 2. Take your third SATA. Go ahead and power the last one. And now you want to go ahead and take your peripheral cable. So you have your peripheral here. You're going to want to go ahead and take that cable next and plug that right into your little board here. Just plug it right into the board. Then we're going to go ahead and set that aside for later. And we're going to put that underneath every single cable. And we'll just push it over here near the solid state drive or your hard drive right now. So go ahead and just take that off to the side. So go ahead and take your USBs now. Remember, everything is always underneath the cable, underneath the rail. Then you want to start from the very furthest and go on. So for these ones, we always put these on top of all the other cables. It's because these are some of the most important cables. You don't want anything messing around with these. And it's going to make it easier when we do cable management in the end too.
This is a Chucky Beat production.
So all of these we already have our one times adapter on the end of each one. Alright, so now that you have all the wires attached, now you're ready to start doing your GPUs. So don't matter what order you put them in on, just go ahead and get them all attached. You want to make sure that these screw holes are all lined up. Alright, so now the next step is to attach the screws and screw in all your graphics cards. So now the screws you want to use is the Q8. So go ahead and take your bag of Q8 screws and just start screwing it.
This is a Chucky Beat production.
Alright, so now you got all the GPUs nice and sturdy. It's time to start powering. So every single GPU has its own VGA cable. So go ahead and take your VGAs and just start from left to the right. Make sure always underneath the bar.
This is a tricky beat.
Alright, so now everything's all plugged in. So let's go ahead and start cable managing. So we like to just use regular cable ties. You use zip ties if you want, you use whatever you want. So you want to go ahead and just start, you want to get all these pulled down. Make sure they're all nice and straight. Then you want to go ahead and start lining them all up, putting them all together. Every single one. For these ones with the extra cables here, always stack them because we're going to put a cable management tie right there. Then you can go ahead. We like to go ahead and round this right around this corner with all these cables. And then you just work your way. Hold these all the way tight, all the way down nice and tight. Then take your first cable management tie. And I just want to keep moving to the side. Let's just get more ties and just keep going. So now we'll go ahead and pull the next ones down. You see these areas, we're going to lift both of these completely up. Take all these ties, put them all the way up. Then you want to go ahead and grab your blue cables too, all your USB cables, and you want to bundle that up nicely. So now you got another nice bundle. Now you just don't want any cables on top of this bar because that's where all our fans are going to be going after we're done with this part. So you don't want to put any cables there. But you can go ahead and cable management ties are perfectly fine.
So you want to do the same thing. Keep these all together.
Grab your next cable management tie. Do the same thing. Run one right here through the center. If you wanted to go all out, you could always get like fancier cables, make it a lot easier, get actual lengths, make it a lot easier on your cable managing. But this is just a nice quick and easy route. Don't have to worry about anything. It's all nice and up, so you'll be able to see. It's nice and clean. You don't have many cables. We'll fix those cables later once we get the fan set up in here. But you see, it just keeps it nice and clean. So now the next step is you're going to go ahead and start your fans. So for the fans, we just use anything pretty much 50 cubic feet per minute or greater is about the speed of fan you want. So you want to go ahead and attach these right here, 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 and here, and then you'll go all the way down your set. So you want to go ahead and use you can use either the attached fans that come, the attached screws that come with your fans, or they'll also come with the box. It's the Q10 screws. So it's the exact same screws that come when you purchase your fans. So just go ahead and line it up, screw it in. Now that you have all of your fans fully assembled, you want to go ahead and just start lining up all the things. Now you want to go ahead and pull all your cables, make sure all your cables are going forward. You don't want to forget any cables. Yeah, so you could go ahead and tighten all these screws. Alright, so now you'll go ahead and take the unit you sent back, and you'll want to go ahead and start plugging everything in. So it's a little bit of a tight fit, but as long as you have the standard fan size, it'll all fit. It doesn't really matter where any of them go as long as you have one on the orange cable. So now you go ahead and take this cable. Now this is the cable that comes with the unit, and it plugs in right here. And then you'll go ahead and plug it straight into your motherboard at any one of the fan slots. We usually just use CHA1, but you can use any one you want. Now you're all set. Everything's ready. Everything's ready to start. And you just go into your BIOS, and we usually just set all the fans to go full speed. You can set them to whatever you want since they're all 4 pins that we used. If you don't use 4 pins, if you use a 3 pin, as long as the one that's plugged into the orange, as long as that's a 4 pin, you should be able to control the other with 3 pins. That's it. That's how you make an 8 GPU mining rig.